do you know what Wataguan, where you can get news about the Jamaican culture and just learn about how Jamaicans are doing, as I said, yard and abroad.
You get to learn a new Jamaican patois word or even a Jamaican phrase.
I look forward to the patois word of the day.
The patois word is pasa pasa.
Word today is taco ram.
Our word of the day is duffy.
Twang. No little twang. Not true.
I enjoy tuning in to Wataguan.
It happens every Friday at 7 p.m. So check them out. And bye from Toronto.
Dans Québec et la Jamaïque, écoute Wataguan. Yes, Wataguan.
I am a big fan of Wataguan.
Relevant and entertaining, so keep up the good work.
Watch Wataguan.
Big up yourself. Wataguan.
Wataguan. Yes, Wataguan.
Watch Wataguan.
Always say I'm going to Wagwan in a yard. Check it out. 7 p.m. every Friday. Hello, hello, hello. Guess who's back? Yeah, it's me, your girl from Bunga Town. And once you see a girl from Bunga Town, you know which day and what time that is. Yes, if you don't forget, is Wataguan time. So you know what you have to do now? Put your head through the window, go up on the veranda or go out on the road and make everybody know, call your friend, family, enemy, everybody, and tell them that Wataguan National is on and your favorite girl from none other than Bongo Town, the town within the parish, within the country, is on. Wataguan National is back. So welcome back to another Friday with more. Special welcome to those listening on Fresh FM Radio Fresh FM Radio London. And to let you also know that Wataguan National is available as a podcast on Podbeam, Google, Amazon, iHeart, Player FM, and all other major podcasting platforms. You can connect to any of those links on our website at www.wataguan.ca. And as usual, remember, Gwaan have 2A. All right. Believe it or not, it's the last Friday in August. I barely sleep. I'm never gonna start wake up early again because back to school is back on, like just in another week. As the summer goes by, I hope you have been enjoying the performances of the Jamaican and the Canadian track and field teams at the World Championships in Budapest. Because we in Canada, we have to say the Canadian team, but technically we just wonder how the Jamaican team doing, right? Big up all the athletes. Today we will be looking again at Windrush 75 and what has been done to celebrate the achievements and struggle of those who migrated to Great Britain via the Windrush movement 75 years ago. What has been their legacy? How do Jamaicans in the UK view it? Rudi Page, the man behind the celebrations and more, will be joining us later on to share his views and to give us a sneak peek on what more will be happening regarding Windrush 75. So stay tuned because that will be coming up in A Time to Reason. Before we go any further, you know what time it is? Yes, it is my favorite time of the day. Patois time is now on. It is a time where we share a word or a phrase from the beautiful Jamaican patois. And today's word is kaba kaba. So when you hear the word kaba kaba or somebody being described as kaba kaba, what does it mean? So interact with me, keep me engaged. You know we like it when you engage with us. So you do that by doing that little comment thingy in the box below. So if you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, the comment box is just below your your screen. So tell me what kaba kaba is. So if somebody say, me no go near them, the people they call them a old kaba kaba. What does that mean? So the word for today is kaba kaba. Also, you can keep me entertained and engaged with us by commenting on the races. How you feel about the race? What have you been seeing? What's been going on? Any part cover broke up? Which part you not celebrate? Oh, no, I celebrate. So just talk to me in the comment. You can comment on the Patois word and on the races. All right. So just keep those coming and let's be excited about what Jamaica is doing on the world stage. Last week we took a look at the city of Calgary's anti-racism strategic plan. Dr. Linda Cognetti Panza, manager for the city's anti-racism program, joined and shared what led to the creation of the strategic plan, how community contributed to it to date, and what we should expect from it. She noted that the city acknowledged the existence of systemic racism in Calgary and outlined the 5 pillars of the strategic plan. She emphasized the importance of every citizen in dismantling racism in all its forms to build a Calgary where human dignity is respected and where people are embraced and feel safe to live, work, and thrive. One key message was that every voice has a place, and we must ensure that we add our voices to the activities to build momentum that drives the changes needed to eradicate systemic racism. If you haven't seen this episode, which was a very good episode, interesting to watch. I know some people, you might not live in Calgary, but still take a look and see what is happening on this side of the world. So do that. You can rewatch the episode on our Facebook or on our YouTube channel. So you just go back, type in Gwaan, and you can go back to check out those episodes. It was really good. You can also find a link on our website at www.watagwan.ca. You know, we like it when you engage with us, and we want Watagwan National to get big, bigger, and bigger, right? So you do that by following, like, and comment. And you do that on any of our social media handles. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and on the website. Remember me to tell you last week, I'm not a techie person, but when you comment, it does some algorithmic thingamabob, and then it allows Watagwan things to appear on other pages, so more people can see it and can check us out, and we can go really, really big. So please ensure to do that and share it like food. Share it like when you get good food and you want everybody to know say it good. All right? Now, let us share some events happening across Canada. In Calgary, Team Jamaica is recruiting for the Caribbean Heritage Sports Competition scheduled for September 16th. Join the JCAA teams for basketball, cricket, dominoes, football or soccer, which is what it's called here, netball, volleyball, and track and field. Call 403-775-1235 or email info@jcaalberta.com to register and get more information. Get involved and represent Team Jamaica. In Toronto, the JCA Ontario is exploring the development of a culturally appropriate adult literacy initiative for Jamaican and Caribbean Canadians residing in the GTA. Register and attend a focus group session and share your views on how the JCA can create a program that works for the community. It will happen this Saturday, August 26th at the JCA Center located at 995 Arrow Road, North York. The session starts at 11:15 a.m. To register, call 647-765-5304 or email isccoordinator@jcaontario.org. Refreshments will be provided. In Montreal, the Collective Kitchen Project and the Jamaican Association of Montreal presents free family cooking classes for families with at least one child up to 5 years old. Join them every Monday at the JCA Center located at 4065 Jean Talon West at 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. to learn and create new recipes. Take home new skills and a meal. To register or to get more information, email jamfootstepsprogram@gmail.com or call 514-737-8229. The next session will be on September 11. Now a little bit of news from Dangayard. Jamaica records 2.47 million visitors up to July. On the heels of a ninth consecutive quarter of economic growth for Jamaica's tourism industry, Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says the country is on track to meet its projections of 3.8 million visitors and foreign exchange earnings of US 4.1 billion by the end of the year. According to Bartlett, the latest tourism figures show that between January and July of this year, Jamaica welcomed some 2.47 million visitors. This included 1.72 million stopover visitors and 747,643 cruise visitors, more than twice the number recorded for the corresponding period in 2022, with gross earnings of US 2.59 billion. And just a little bit of brata, because you know Jamaicans how we love brata. Jamaican athletes continue to make their mark at the 2023 World Athletics Championships in Budapest. At the end of day 7, Jamaica is third on the medal table with 9 medals. Only the USA and Spain are ahead. Here's a summary of our medalists to date.
Africa Fashion Week London is back. The largest annual fashion week in Europe, profiling African-inspired designs in its entirety, invites you to its spectacular two-day event. Whether you want to network with fashion industry gurus or wish to purchase a one-of-a-kind Afrocentric memento in our renowned exhibition marketplace, Africa Fashion Week London promises to immerse you in all things Africa and more. Tickets are selling fast now. Get your tickets at eventbrite.co.uk. Also, don't miss the opportunity to showcase or exhibit your designs at the Fashion Week. Register now at africafashionweeklondonuk.com. Africa Fashion Week London. Book your tickets now.
Now that we've heard the happenings that is going on in Calgary, you know what's next. My other favorite part of the show, and that is A Time to Reason with you know who, the big man himself, Donovan Simon. So grab the coffee, grab the cocoa tea, get some tough crackers, or a little piece of hard-dough bread, because you know what time it is. Just with all a little reason.
This has been a great discussion. David, thanks for taking the time. All right.
All right.
What's up, Ms. Nicole?
Me there.
Hey there.
Yes.
Well, I'm in the day. We're on a different land, you know?
Yes, I'm keeping my prayers, saying a drop asleep.
Nah, man, me all right, man. Me all right. I have reasonably adjusted, and there's a lot of adrenaline based on all the. I mean, I just came as close to Budapest as I could.
Oh, really? Oh,
So
well,
that so at least I'm in the time zone, so I can watch the race them real time and go on bad, you know.
mm,
Like I think Sharika was saying, boy, she can't just imagine how people at Jamaica are going bad.
yes,
So hopefully people, Jamaicans and people who love Jamaican track and field and just sports overall everywhere are going bad.
yes.
You know,
Well, me sure Jamaicans are going bad. So,
yeah. So it
yeah.
go. Today though, I want to chat with somebody in the diaspora here about what was happening with them and Windrush and a few other things. Of course, because it's early morning here, I had a chat with him earlier, right, about some of those things. So I'm going to share that conversation because anybody who is watching will realize that we're in two different places. So I make sure I make it clear that it was a conversation that we had earlier.
Yes.
We're going to listen to the conversation and then we'll come back and talk a little more later. All right.
All right, cool.
Time to reason here on Gwaan. My name is Donovan, and as you can see from the background today, I'm in a different setting. I'm in England, so I get to talk with members of our diaspora, especially an outstanding one about things that are happening here. Today, we're going to talk about Windrush 75 and how Jamaicans in the diaspora dealt with that and other things. And it's my absolute pleasure to have Rudi Page, a noted Jamaican. All right, folks, like I said, we are going to be playing a video, and I want to make sure that we have this one covered. So give me a second here to reset and then get Rudi on with us based on the conversation that I had with him earlier. Welcome to A Time to Reason here on Gwaan. My name is Donovan, and as you can see from the background today, I'm in a different setting. I'm in England, so I get to talk with members of our diaspora, especially an outstanding one about things that are happening here. Today, we're going to talk about Windrush 75 and how Jamaicans in the diaspora dealt with that and other things. And it's my absolute pleasure to have Rudi Page, a noted Jamaican here in the UK. He's with Making Connections Work. He's a multi-award-winning management consultant, coach, and facilitator. He has recently chaired the Caribbean Global Awards here, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council's Electoral Committee. He's chaired the weekly Gleaner UK Honor Awards. He's held a number of non-executive and trustee roles. Lions Club, Gwaan is Talawa, you name it. Rudi is the consummate Jamaican community organizer and planner. And of course, he was the man behind Windrush 75 celebrations here in the UK, in Jamaica, and all over. It's my absolute pleasure to invite Rudi to join me here on Gwaan. Rudi, how are you, my friend?
Good evening and welcome to England, Donovan.
My absolute pleasure. They let me in. Thanks for all you did to make sure that my name was on the clean list at the border.
Absolutely. I said it was important that you get your pass. You know.
All right. There's lots happening and you're always involved with a ton of stuff. So we want to jump in to make the most of the time here with you. And maybe where we'll start, because one of the things we had chatted about a while back was Windrush 75. Talk to us about the celebrations. I know you were in Augustown. I know there are things that have been happening all over here in England as well. What happened? How did it go?
It went very well. And in fact, there were many events this year, literally hundreds of events across the country. And there will be as well in October for Black History Month. We had a great program ourselves nationally. So sort of in London, in the Midlands, up in Manchester, around the Windrush Anchor Heritage Education Program. So it's been picked up by the wider community as well, which has been great. We've heard a lot more of the Windrush voices, some of those stories from the first generation. That would be my parents' generation. And so it's been very good, very strong. And I think as a celebration, it will go forward and be as strong as Black History Month in the future. So that was of course in June here in the UK.
Yeah, that's awesome to know. How would you assess the responses and to the whole Windrush thing? And I'm curious as to, was it multi-generational?
Yes, that's the most important thing, is that it is multi-generational now, because my generation, historically, we were called the children of the Windrush generation. Mm-hmm. But many of us are grandparents now ourselves. So, you know, we have to think about what that means. And what's also been striking now here in England, at least, and probably Scotland, is that you've got young people of 10, 12 years old learning about Windrush as part of the curriculum in terms of belonging and understanding people from different cultures. So the Windrush story is something that's now included in the curriculum, where historically it was excluded, and it was just very much a cultural activity within the Caribbean community here itself. So it's a big significant change, lots of mainstream stories, features, and particularly here in the UK with the BBC, which is, you know, the state broadcaster. So that has opened up the channels, and that has had a massive impact, because obviously that's the main channel still, regardless of all the other sort of satellite channels that we have.
Yeah, I'll come back in a little bit to talk about recognition, because I know one leader, you know, Prime Minister Sunak even sent you a letter, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. What I'm curious of, though, is the appreciation of these generations of the Windrush generation, the actual ones who sailed on the big ship out of the Caribbean. Talk to us about what you've seen and heard as you've, you know, done the different events here and in Jamaica.
Yeah,
right?
And
of the appreciation of it.
Yeah, and you raise a good point, Donovan, in terms of the actual Windrush generation. So what that means, it's really an era. So anybody basically from the Caribbean, and of course the wider Commonwealth, but we're really talking about the Caribbean because that's who we are. So that's from 1948 to about 1971, 1973. So it's everybody who came up to the UK during that period of time, and those of us who would have been born here. So in that time, we are known as the Windrush generation. So that first generation, then, that's that generation that came up on the boat in the 1940s, 1948, I should say. And then you had those who came up from Jamaica and the wider Caribbean, the early 1950s or mid 50s into the early 60s. That age group, so many of those would be in their 80s to 90 years old. We've got one or two, I bet two gentlemen in the last few weeks as part of our activities, 198 and 102. So yeah, so they're a big age, that generation. Be a lot more recognition for the achievements that that generation and the hardships that they went through, of course, at the time, because we're talking about a time in the UK where discrimination was not illegal. Right. So 40s, 50s, 60s, it wasn't until in the mid 1970s where equality laws, outlawing discrimination. And that's Caribbean people who really sacrificed and laid the ground for those kind of laws that everybody, enjoys today. So that generation well overdue, of course, have been recognised and continue. There's lots of books, lots of stories. You know, some of them have even had their portraits done, which has been commissioned by the King. So the recognition has been good. There's many more stories to go.
Yeah.
And there's still a great more recognition because, of course, you know, all aspects of life in the UK, business, health, community, housing, you name it, taking care of people, Caribbean people have been there all the time for generations now.
Well, there's lots of recognition, and I'll come to, you know, broader things a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, you talk about the King, the Prime Minister, and I know also in Jamaica, you know, the Minister of Culture, Gender, Sports, there has been an acknowledgement that Windrush meant and means something to the wider community, to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Get into that a little bit for me.
Yeah.
About the recognition and the acknowledgement by non-Jamaicans of
yeah.
what.
And starting with Jamaica, and you make a really important point, Donovan, because historically, if you look right back to the Jamaicans who left and went to, you know, the Panama Canal, you know, good 100 years ago plus, and historically, the return of the generations, or the descendants of those generations who went abroad, has never really had that kind of acknowledgement that this Windrush generation has. So it is something special about it. And the contribution, not only did they make in the UK, but also what they sent back in terms of remittances and donations back to Jamaica, back into the communities from whence they came. So that has really started to, I believe, get the recognition that it deserves, you know, and it's significant. Build houses, and you imagine building houses, what that means for the local economy, the supply chains in the local economy. So not only sending remittances for education, not only sending medical equipment for hospitals, not only sending money for community development, but building houses and what that meant for the business community as well. So it's a significant recognition for what that generation has done and will continue to do. And there's still a long way to go, but at least I feel again in 2023 we've been able to raise awareness and improve the understanding of what it meant for that generations to go abroad and achieve what they had to do in a very difficult environment, and at times a hostile environment as well.
And as you talk about that, Jamaica recently celebrated independence, 61 years of political independence, in the same year that we do Windrush 75. What's been the energy within the Jamaican community here in the UK about both events? What have you seen? How do you assess it?
Yeah, well, we've always celebrated Independence Week and weekend with some activities. And so that's just been the same as usual. But again, it's had a boost because it's Windrush 75. So that has actually raised people's awareness and involvement, because 75 was such a significant number to go with in terms of Windrush. And last year was very similar because last year was the Diamond Jubilee, of course.
60.
So again, you know, that was a major celebration. So yeah, I mean, it's been good also to see young people as well, again, relating back to where their parents came from or where their grandparents came from. So what we would call cultural communication is strong and will continue. And we shouldn't be surprised, because why should you forget or not know about where your parents and grandparents have come from?
Well, I'm sure you hear the stories. Well, there are lots of stories, and maybe, as you mentioned, that there are stories about reparation. There are stories about the change in or proposed changes in the Jamaican constitution to remove the monarch as head of state. What are the discussions happening in the local pubs here with the Jamaicans around topics like those?
In the domino clubs. Yeah, interesting. There are different views, and my view is I'm coming from the perspective of the Windrush and the lessons learned from the Windrush scandal. So when the Windrush scandal first broke, I was one of the first group of people who put together a project working directly with the Home Office. This is in 2018 now, August 2018, to ensure that those people who were unclear about their status could attend sessions where they could get the information, advice, and guidance from Home Office staff. And we use the church network, so Church of God of Prophecy, got churches all over the country, particularly where Caribbean people settled in the 1960s, 50s, and 60s. So I ran a number of sessions, and it's all stuck in my mind, and I do remind everybody all the time. We hosted a Home Office minister, and one of the first things that she said that when Jamaica became independent in 1962, that meant there was a change in status as it related to citizens of Jamaica becoming citizens of or subjects of Jamaica becoming citizens, and what that really meant. So even over the years of changing legislation, changing citizenships and immigration rules, all those kind of things. So there's been this really steady tightening of that situation. And of course, many people have got caught up in it, both Windrush generation and children, of course, who may have come up on their parents' passport, and then had a great challenge in proving their status, even though they may have been living here 40 or 50 years. So what I mean then, so with the advent of the Republican dialogue, my thoughts are, what does that mean for British citizens of Jamaican heritage? What does that change in status mean as it relates to UK? So that's the question that I want us to think about and
Well,
answer.
that's an interesting one, because I think many people, including obviously those who came up on the Windrush and those generations, never consider the impact of any of those things on them individually. They might celebrate.
Yes.
Right? Because no matter where we go, we are Jamaicans, and we embrace that heritage. But the subtleties of the law are not necessarily things that you look at and say, this may affect me in any way, shape, or form, right?
And you're so right, Donovan. You put it perfect, because when people were saying how difficult it was to meet the criteria, lots of people were being rejected. They were paying a lot of money, going to various lawyers and other experts, but still not getting through. Generally speaking, the community didn't understand, other than to say, some people just said, well, they should have done it before, they should have, And so I'm just concerned that there are some details that I would like to see and better understand, and then help communicate what the implications could be. And again, the change in status, if you look at Barbados recently, they became independent, a republic. And of course, the UK Parliament doesn't have to do or say anything. So any country can decide to leave. But again, we just have to be careful. What does that change in status mean?
Well, that's interesting, and I think it's important as a community to talk about that. And that's maybe where I'd like to get into the activity within the diaspora here. And what are the topics out there? What are the Jamaicans in the diaspora focusing on?
So at the moment, the focus around this particular topic is what does it mean to no longer have the king,
right,
as the head of Jamaica? What does it really mean? And so there's discussion. So there's the emotional part that says, great, we no longer have a king. We're going to be the rulers of some sorts. But of course, we're not sure what does that mean politically. Some people raise the point about what does that mean politically as well.
Right.
What changes will there be? Will there be a reduction in inequalities? What does it really mean?
Right.
I think those discussions are really to also come in terms of the impact. And again, that change in status, what might that mean going forward for people in the diaspora? Nobody really knows, because the diaspora voice is yet to be really heard and understood as well within these changes. So who knows?
And it's interesting that you raise that, because I know you're an international guy. How similar are the topics and the sentiments to what you hear out of the US and Canada and other Jamaicans in the diaspora all over the place?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think particularly the US, I think at times, in terms of governance, of course, the UK and the Commonwealth, and you coming from Canada, you will appreciate this. And I know people do seem to think that why is it that somebody from the US doesn't have the same rights as somebody from the UK or Canada as it relates to Jamaica? And I've heard that on some of the platforms, and of course, so they're not thinking about the whole governance arrangements and the jurisdictions and what it really means. So I think there probably has to be more discussion around that, getting away from the emotion, but have some of our constitutional lawyers or experts to start to really explain clearly to everybody. There's a term that we need what we call trusted messengers to ensure that we're informed, but provide the reassurance so that people can make the choice. But one thing, as you say, that I think is important, that those of us who've got families, so we're in the diaspora, but families back in Jamaica, I think it's important to be involved and raise that topic with them as well. What do they think, and they're doing about it? I think that's important. That's family members and friends. Very important.
It's interesting you said that, Rudi. I was in Jamaica earlier this year, and I was just talking to somebody out in the community about the whole proposed changes and all of those things, and the degree to which they plan to participate. And I'm going to say there was a degree of apathy. There's possibly more engagement or interest outside of Jamaica per capita than there is inside. So that's a very, very good point, because it is going to affect them as it will affect us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because again, as we said, the change in status, what does it mean for families who are from different jurisdictions over generations? What does it mean? We don't know yet. And so we need these topics to be raised, but also more importantly, we need the voices to be heard from the diaspora within Jamaican society, because the diaspora are an integral part of the society, and their voice must be heard. And it's a great opportunity now as well for the diaspora to ensure their voice is heard.
How do we get to amplify the voices? You're in the community all the time. How do you get to amplify what's being done in the UK? I know in Canada, it's a constant struggle to get the Jamaican community together to focus on common issues. I mean, the parties are full. Let's on the festivals,
as always.
But around the social and political issues.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the UK experience.
We have the same challenge around health, you know, especially prostate health for our community, or diabetes. Look how important they are in terms of the impact on our community, but you're hardly going to fill a room with that. So I think at the moment, it's really the activists at the moment. It's the activists and those, you know, with the political sort of activism who are at the forefront and putting together meetings. But it's going to take a bit of time, probably, before we really see, or something may happen that all just galvanize everybody. All of a sudden they say, right, actually, I'm going to take an interest in this. I don't think we've reached there yet. So it's just the interested parties and the activists, some of the academics. I guess one of the challenges that we do have, from what I've seen, which we had relating to Windrush actually, is that there's not a strong clarity and definition from the academics themselves. So that hasn't really come into the wider public discourse. There's one or two, but there's no strong voice that's really laying out, this is what it could mean, you know, giving some comparisons with other countries when they've, you know, succeeded from their former or changed their governance arrangements. So we haven't had that kind of discourse yet that I've seen, with the involvement of the diaspora communities themselves. So what you'll get is you will get academics on platform, but really coming from just Jamaica perspective, and then talking about the historical legacy of this country, which kind of leaps over the generations of, you know, the diaspora who are around at the moment.
And it's interesting you say that, because there's certain other elements of Jamaican culture that dominate. The music, the food, you know, there are carnivals and festivals and all kinds of things which people gravitate to. In fact, the World Championships going on in Budapest. And I was reading something today about the Jamaicans being one of the more popular teams there.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, and that's always the great thing. They're always at least the second team on the global platform, because of that. The communication of Jamaican culture is so strong globally, of course.
So why is it then, with all of that platform, it's so difficult on the, you know, socio-political side to galvanize and to rein in all of that energy to drive some of the other issues?
That's a big question, that one is. So given that I'm not involved in politics, but it's, you know, when that point is raised, what we say really, it that great love for Jamaica, the music, the culture, is something that takes place in the wider big world. And so it doesn't necessarily then translate down into any structural, political, socio-political situation.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's just the reality.
Talking about politics, you were recognized by Prime Minister Sunak himself, a letter from 10 Downing Street, for your contribution to the Windrush celebration and all that went with it. Talk to me a little bit about how that made you feel and how you've responded to that recognition.
I was pleased with that recognition. The reason being is that I put together this program called the Windrush Anchor Heritage Education Program, which was designed to support Patrick Vernon's project, and he's a strong Windrush activist. And his project is designed to actually recover the anchor from the Windrush ship itself, which is at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. And so what this extra publicity is given by the recognition from the Prime Minister through a program called Points of Light is helped to, again, amplify and focus people's minds on, what we're trying to do to the recovery of the anchor. And as you know, Donovan, for thousands of years, what the anchor has symbolized. So for us Caribbean people, and I would say that Jamaicans, wherever our descendants have landed, hope, strength, and belonging, that resilience, never give up, never say die, regardless, and make the sacrifice and still achieve and still celebrate it and enjoy life. And I think that that's probably as well what is communicated around the world is what Jamaicans do outside of the country, how they fit in other cultures, how they create within those cultures, they take and give, but also are welcoming to other people as well. Because as you know, you'll always see other cultures at Jamaican events.
Yeah.
It's not, Jamaicans are not a closed group of people.
That's true. That's true.
You're welcome. It doesn't matter. So the term we use as it relates to the Windrush is we talk about the values of respect and inclusion are the common ground for all, regardless of background, culture, or status.
Well, that's good. And I know there are a couple other things. Tony is doing this project as well around artifacts.
Yes.
And collecting all these pieces. I talked to him on one of the shows earlier, right? Talk to us about different things that are connected to this whole Windrush celebration. And you talk about Black History Month in October here in the UK. What are some of the other things that are planned?
And that's a good point. So Tony Fairweather, I've known him 40 years. He's done a great piece of, again, cultural communication with the front room. So anybody who's lived in England during the 1960s and 70s or particularly grew up in the 1960s and 70s, they know about the front room. Those are artifacts, that memories from the past, the radiogram, the Jim Reeves music, the paraffin lamp. And Donovan, I can tell you, in this old age, I've still got a scar on my left hand where I burnt it on the paraffin, a green paraffin lamp.
And by the way, when you say paraffin, it's kerosene.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, here we used to have SO Blue and the paraffin man, and we used to get a metal can and run down the road. Parents used to say, go and get some paraffin.
And for the Jamaican people who used to have the home sweet home lamp, that we're talking about.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, those cultural artifacts are still very powerful, very important. Tony put on a great play the other day called The Front Room. I went to see it, Full House, down in Croydon. And it just brought back so many memories. But I think also what was great about it is that, again, going back to what I said about the generation now who themselves are parents, they remember, it brought back great memories for them. So in other words, it also contributes to the well-being, the mental well-being of the community. That front room has memories, tough times, but happy times. So the cultural artifacts are very important and powerful. And we're hoping as well, from next year, we're doing what's called the Windrush 3 Counties Festival during May in Jamaica, and we're going to be searching for some of those artifacts and furniture that people took back when they went back to Jamaica in the 1970s and 80s, and we really would like a museum in Jamaica so people see, look, this is how people live. This is, these things are really important.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I remember when I was talking to Tony, one of the things he mentioned in our discussion was about the dress code and the way Jamaicans brought a certain energy to what people look like. He says he couldn't understand wearing grey suits and all.
Exactly, color and cut trousers and cut. I mean, these things are important when you're going to, especially if you grew up like us in the 1970s. The sound systems, the Coxsons, and, all of those great, just Shaka. The list is long. So yeah, that the style, totally different style.
All right, we have a few more minutes. I want to talk a little bit about you know, the framework that exists today. You know, you talk about equality, you talk about legislation, you talk about, you know, we talked about recognition all the way up from the prime minister. But there are still issues. What are the Jamaicans in the diaspora still, you know, challenged with? What are things that we still need to keep a light on?
Yeah, I guess our big challenge still, and we've got a great organisation called the Reach Society, who's done a lot of work on this. So every year they host between 700 and 1,000 young people around careers and career development, role models, and having opportunities to apprenticeships, internships. So I would say the biggest challenge that we have as Jamaican stroke Caribbean communities in the UK still is education. And the challenge is what happens to young people in the education system, and then how they then move through to gain the necessary life skills, having the right attitude, aspirations, so that they can, you know, to really achieve in this society. So I would still say there's big issues around the structural inequalities in education. And then if you take health in terms of the older generations, still, as we were sort of joking about before, I mean, we could be much healthier. You know, diabetes, prostate health for men, Caribbean men, we could be doing much better on that. So some of that, of course, is about our own collective responsibility, as well as the challenges that we have in achieving equality, or improving, or at least reducing the inequality that we have to face with the various institutions that we either work in or have to use the services of. So that there's still a ways to go. There has been some progression, so we can't say there's been no progress. But the data speaks for itself. If you look at the most senior appointments, if you look at, you know, the way organisations are contracted and commissioned, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah. Of course, as we go through and look at what happens in the UK and the diaspora, there's still a lot of Jamaican pride and a lot of connections to Jamaica. The pound is still strong, and the money keeps going back home. What's your assessment as to the strength of the connection, and how the Jamaicans from different generations still feel about Jamaica and the connections?
It's very strong, and as we talk, you know, it can never be broken because it's families, it's generational, and why should it be broken? And how can it be broken if you inherit land and property from your family? You know, you've been supporting your families, you know, but you know, why would there be a break? I don't see how it could be broken, and it certainly hasn't, because I can look back, you know, 40 something odd years when I was growing up, and people used to say, my generation, you know, you're born in England, you'll never be, you know, you're not going to be interested in Jamaica or anything. And I, you know, have been, and my own children, they're very interested in Jamaica. When they went there, they really enjoyed it. They were shocked to meet their cousins, because their cousins had the same faces that they had, which shocked them. You know, as you know, that always shocks people when they come back to Jamaica and meet their cousins for the first time.
Or the cousin them look alike, don't they?
Everybody looks the same, and they're sitting there joking, the culture, and that's important, and that's important for the well-being. So it will continue, and as you know, there's lots of people. That's why I'm not sure if diaspora is a misnomer now, who go backwards and forwards, have spent many years living in Jamaica, having gone abroad before they've come back. They live a short while, they stay for a few months at a time. So what diaspora really means today is very different to what it might have meant when my father left Harmony Hall, Highgate, St. Mary.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's an interesting point now. As we come to wrap up, I was talking to somebody the other day and mentioned that when I left Jamaica to live overseas, I would have never have imagined the depth of the connection that I would feel,
Yeah.
20 odd years later. Because there's this perception that the connections of Jamaicans outside of Jamaica is weaker than that of those there, and it is by no means my experience.
It really isn't, because as we say, why should our family ties be broken?
Yeah.
You know? And the purpose for going abroad in the first place was for human development, make life better for your family. That's why, families got together. Yeah, you go abroad and do what you can, send back and help the family, and make that contribution. Why wouldn't you do that? People have been doing it for thousands of years.
And in fact, it comes right back and ties to Windrush.
Absolutely.
That's why Windrush generation is important, because that's why they left.
Absolutely. And the recognition is important, and I think it's important as well for Windrush generations, when they are back in Jamaica, get involved in the local community. There's their family ties to primary schools, those kind of things. That's one way to be integrated back into the society.
Mm-hmm.
Get involved. There's good people you can work with, lots of projects, lots of support needed, lots of scholarships. There's value to being involved the same way that you would do when you're abroad in the UK, Canada, or the US. Why wouldn't you get involved in your local community? Why not?
Well, that's true, and maybe that's the question that we end on. Why not get involved in our communities, celebrating Reno, celebrating independence, celebrating Jamaica?
Yeah,
because that's what ties us all together, no matter where we are.
Absolutely.
Rudi, it is a pleasure having a chat with you. Thanks for doing what you do and promoting Windrush, but promoting Jamaica, because you're the consummate Jamaican in the diaspora.
Thank you very much. And of course, Fresh FM Radio London really enjoys, hosting What a Gwaan. And you've got a nice listenership building up out here in the diaspora. So congratulations to you, and I hope that you keep it going as well.
We definitely will. Thanks a lot, and big up everybody on Fresh FM Radio London as always.
Thank you.
All right, Rudi, take care.
Bye.
This has been a great discussion. David, thanks for taking the time. All right.
All right. Welcome back. Another good one.
Another discussion.
Definitely.
Hopefully a few people learn a few things from that, and the work continues all across the world, and I think maybe that is the message from today's episode. First of all, no matter where we go, no matter what the generations are, people find that connection. I look at my own little ones, the ones born in Canada, and they feel connected to Jamaica, and the Jamaican kids and the Jamaican generations all over the world.
Yeah.
And they have good reason to. They have good reason. The Jamaican culture and so many elements of it are fantastic and give them unique perspectives.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a special place.
Yeah, that you can't help but love and deal with, and it's glad when it's recognized as well. Rudi was recognized by the Prime Minister of Britain, and I tell you, I'm here for a couple of weeks, and it's interesting when you listen to the politics and you listen to the different things that are being said out there. But at least the Jamaican voices are out there, and you can see them and you can hear them.
Hear them.
Yeah. Right. So,
which is
good stuff.
Yes. Agree.
All right. Well, I won't keep you too long because it's pretty late where I'm at.
Yes.
so we will touch base.
Yeah, man. All right. Cool. And safe travel back home.
All right.
Yeah, man. All right, folks. I hope you took in the conversation and you listened. And you know that, as I just said, Jamaica is a very, very special place. If I wasn't Jamaican, I'd be proper Bex. So wherever you are, hope you're participating in these conversations and lend your voices to the different things that are going on. Hey, Clarence, excellent work. God bless. Yes, thanks, Clarence. Big up yourself. Auntie Lil just finished working. All right, what you're commenting. Thank you. I just did a little rewatch of the race and to see our girl Sharika pummeling through the finish line, almost make the record. My girl was going for the record. I think she did business with nobody else in the race. It wasn't about anybody else. It was about that record. It would have been nice if she got it, but hey, the second fastest time, we can hold on that for now because guess what? We're coming back for it. We're going for that record, right? So the patois word, kaba, it means inferior, unreliable, or worthless. So them boy, they are kaba. So that means that they're workless. As Jamaican, that say they're workless. Them not up to our quality. So kaba is another one. Write it down in your book. And just know that this word is from Yoruba Akan tribe word. So we still have some word from our African ancestors who still keep being in our languages. So this one, kaba, is Yoruba and Akan. So yeah, write it down and see if you can use it this week. I'm not sure if you live outside of Jamaica, many people will understand, but hey, still throw it in a sentence or two and write it down in your book. So next week we will be taking a break. Yes. Gwaan is taking a little break, and it's also a long weekend. So for those of you who are celebrating Labor Day, happy Labor Day when it comes, because the next day after that, a back to school morning. So don't party too late because you can't make it them late for the first day of school. So next week we take a break. We will come back the week after with some more riveting conversation. So stay tuned. On September 8th, we'll be back for some good conversation. So stay tuned and ensure you join us then. Just to remind you that you can share your message on Gwaan National while we share our stories and experiences. Advertise with us as we grow. Contact us via watagwan.ca, that is our website, or any of our social media handles. So Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. You can connect with the social, or you can send us an email at watagwancnd@gmail.com. Remember to follow us on all those handles that I just stated. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can find those links on our website at www.watagwancd.ca. And remember, Gwaan is 2 A's. So another week has come to an end, and your girl from Bonga Town is saying, please have a good week. Walk good. See you on the 8th.